Hello, everybody. I am back with round 4 from the 2022 Jack Taylor Memorial. As a quick recap, I won my first game against an 1800 rated player, and then I lost against a 1900 rated strong junior. And then in round 3, I lost against another 1900 rated junior. And I got completely smashed off the board in that last game. I just realized I need to modify this so it's not, I'm moving that little black label up top there. I don't know if you can see that live on the stream. Sorry, my OCD kicking in. Give me a few seconds to, oh, I'm gonna have to do that with white too. That's kind of annoying. Okay, give me a second here. And actually I think in the round 2 video, I actually had these inverted. I forgot to change them. It's kind of annoying. I have to do it each time. And the software I use is not so easy to change them. Let me align it up a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So I was white. I had 2 blacks already in the tournament, so I was bound to get a white here. My opponent was rated 1749. His name was Wesley Russell. I hadn't played him before. He's a young junior. Hard to guess the age, maybe 12, maybe 13, 12, 13 is my guess. He's recently been improving quite quickly. I think within the span of 2 years, he's gained like 400 points or something. So he's rapidly improving. And when I was doing some prep work against him, I believe his coach is the current world champion, the world junior champion, who is a Canadian player. For some reason, his name is escaping me at this very moment. I don't know why it's escaping me, but I'm getting old. But yeah, I'm pretty sure his coach is the new world champion, junior champion. And I'm not sure if they prepped against me specifically. Maybe I'm thinking too much there, but he did mention about the opening that his coach did tell him to play something. So yeah. Okay. So here we go. So I just want to mention that, like, even though I lost the 2 previous games, I was still feeling pretty good. It's so much nicer to play up a section when I'm the underdog every round. I was the lowest rated player in this tournament, and I did win that first game. So I was feeling good, even though I lost those 2 games. And even as I said earlier in the previous videos, if I lose the rest of the games, I would still feel pretty content because I did have that win over the 1800. Okay, anyways, here we go. I played e4. He played c6 to Carl Khan, which I always enjoy playing against, no matter the variation. d4, d5, and I'm going to, again, go past this pretty quickly just because this is all theory. And I don't know. I don't want to bore you guys with the opening theory. I don't know. Maybe it's interesting to you if I did. But okay. Knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, knight f6. This is the Tartakower variation. Knight takes f6, e takes f6, c3, bishop d6. This is still all well-known theory. Bishop d3, castles, queen c2, rook e8 check. Knight e2, still all basic theory. h5, which is the main line. Castles, knight d7. So this was all part of my prep and my known repertoire. But I actually wasn't able to see what my opponent played after this because his opponents didn't know proper theory after this as white. So I was it didn't really help me, basically, because I didn't know what he played after this. So the most I could do was just kind of refresh myself on some of the lines in this opening. Um, Now, I was kind of my own worst enemy here because on my next move, I don't know if it's a mistake per se, but yeah, psychologically I beat myself here because I played bishop d2, which is okay. It's fine. Most moves here will transpose. Um, but the thing is, my opponent was whipping out his moves so fast, and sometimes you get into kind of this like pissing competition with your opponent um, on kind of like who knows the theory more. So you kind of confidently make your move very quickly just to show that yes, I know what I'm doing. I know this opening very well, and we were both doing that, whipping out the moves like instantly, pretty much. Um, and I got too caught up in that because bishop d2 is not normally what I play here. Even though it's okay, I missed my normal repertoire move. Yeah, so I played bishop e2, which is still okay though, as I say, but it's not what I normally play. And he played knight f8, which is still in line with the opening strategy here. And I learned something new this game. Now, in most of these positions, the main line and what the computer likes is rook a e1, which is weird when you think about it, because it's like, why move this rook? Why commit the a rook to e1 when you could keep it on where it is and then maybe you can go to these three files? Why not go rook f e1? That makes a lot more sense to me. So that we can control the A file, the B and the C and D files with this rook here. And in this game, I learned why. So I learned something new. So useful. And I've been wondering this for a while. Like, I actually built this into my repertoire, but I didn't fully understand it. But more on that later. We'll come back to that. He plays queen c7, just attacking h2. This is also very thematic in this opening. h3. And then he played knight e6. And this was very surprising to me, as knight e6 is not normally a move that's played in these positions. I did look at it very briefly in the past with the engine, because I'm like, oh, what if he goes knight e6? Because he hits e4 if I try to play c4, for example. My knight defends it, but I did look at it before, but I didn't look at it deeply. So when he played this, it made me think for a little bit. Actually, it made me think for a long time on what do I do about that. And then I thought for 17 minutes on my next move, that's a long time, man. 17 minutes. And I got scared here. So in these positions, c4 is very thematic. Often it's to move the knight to c3. A nice little cozy square for the knight. And then you can also maybe do a pawn, queenside pawn advance. But since he moved the knight on e6, which is unusual, like normally the knight will go to g3 in some cases, not in this exact scenario, but it'll often go to g6 rather, or it will just stay on f8. But since it's on e6, c4 is a little bit, I don't know if it is as good anymore because we can't play knight c3 because then d4 will hang. So I thought for a long time here about that, and I think I was also slightly worried about c5, even though it's not an issue, but it worried me for some reason. Because if d5, I don't know, for some reason I thought, because in some positions this is not good to do as white, so I don't know, I was just very overly cautious here. So I thought for 17 minutes, but I ended up being brave, and I did play c4, because yeah, it just, I don't know, it felt like I had to play it. Which is a good move. It's the best move. And then he played knight g5, which I hadn't anticipated. And the more I looked at it, the more it scared me. Because, feel free to pause the video or just take a think about it right now. At first, it doesn't look that scary, but I don't know. The more I looked at it, the more scared I got, because there's actually a million different tactics here that black can employ that was really freaking me out. And the more I looked at it, the more scared I got. So I was looking at like bishop h3, and if we take, then there's this fork, right? I was looking at even knight h3, and then I'm almost mated there. Like check, and he can get this in, and I lose my rook at least. There's knight f3 check, and if takes here again, and then this is almost mate, and I'm losing the rook, and there was check right away, and then even taking here. Like there was a lot of, I was scared, and what do I even do against it? So I thought for another 17 minutes on my next move, which is a lot, because remember, I just spent 19 minutes on c4, and then I spent another 17 minutes here. So it turns out that knight g5 is actually a blunder, and I found the best move, but I didn't even consider this move until like the last 2 minutes of my 17-minute think, which is kind of weird, because it's probably, I'm sure you guys watching, it's probably one of the first moves you consider. But since I hadn't been used to this move in these positions, yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't the first idea that came to me. Once I found this idea, I was very happy, because it solved all my answers. And in addition, it just made it just look completely winning for white. So after 17 minutes, I played f4. And then all of a sudden, the whole rook e1 move makes a lot of sense. We keep this rook on f1 so that it can help support a possible f4 in the future. f4 would not be possible if I had played rook fe1 earlier. And so now I understand what rook e1 is all about. So that's a cool thing I learned this game. Yeah, and after I played f4, I was very happy, because all of a sudden I thought I was in a bit of trouble, and now I thought I was winning. He played knight e6. I played c5. He has to move the bishop back, and then I played f5. This was all planned when I played f4, and pretty much forced. He plays knight d8. The computer slightly prefers knight g5, but that's not an easy choice for black, because h5, and then his knight ends up on this terrible square. So I played knight f4. Rook takes e1, which he kind of needs to do, because his rook is under attack, and there's always threats here for him to deal with if he doesn't trade it off. I recapture. He plays queen d7. Just attacking my e4 pawn, d4 pawn rather. I played queen c4, which the computer doesn't like that much. It prefers basically any other move. I guess one potential way for black to play here is b6, and then he can start chipping away at my pawns. But my idea here was, behind queen c4, was knight g6. And to be annoying that way, I could trade this knight off for his bishop, and his pieces are still congested. So I was thinking something like this. And of course I defend the d4 pawn. He plays b5, queen c3, still defending d4, a5, bishop e3. Played this because I need another piece to defend the d4 pawn. Otherwise, he's going to keep attacking my queen. And then if I go here, for example, he has bishop a6. And then eventually I can't defend d4 anymore. So I need another piece to defend d4. He played h4. b3, just giving my queen a diagonal to keep an eye on this, and also just to help deal with these advancing A and B pawns. Bishop a6, queen b2. I didn't want to take any greedy or unnecessary risks here. I felt I was completely winning. Black really can't do anything, and I have complete control over the position, so I just wanted to just play simple for now. He played b4. I played bishop c2. I was thinking about trading because his rook gets onto an awkward square, but I think the reason I didn't trade was I don't know. I think I just felt that I had more control over the position still. And, oh wait, no, never mind. It's because of this. Okay, I was trying to remember. It's because of the f5 pawn. If I trade, then I can't defend the f5 pawn easily. I mean, I could play queen c2, but now my queen, my queen is the only thing defending my f5 pawn. And then it gets harder to attack when I have to babysit this pawn the whole time. So I wanted this bishop to deal with that defense. I played bishop b5. Played bishop f2, simply attacking the h4 pawn. He played a4. Starts to get a little bit scary. I take on h4 now. And he played a3. He can't really take, or at least it doesn't really help him, because I could just take with the a pawn, and he can't really make progress there. He only has one rook. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. He played a3. I played queen e1, only move, because any other move drops the d4 pawn, and black is completely equal. He plays queen a7, which is a sneaky move, because he's threatening, I think, bishop c5. And if I take, then he gets rid of my two central pawns, and he gets it with tempo. I actually lose the bishop as well. I played queen d1, defending the bishop, basically. So if he takes, and then the check, I'm defending c2. He plays knight b7. Queen g4. What's interesting is that after the game, I did a post-analysis with my opponent, and he's a smart kid, and he's talented, and he knows a lot. But I think one thing that he can work on is like he felt very confident about some of his ideas and decisions, and he was he said to me, Queen g4, that's a blunder, like that's a mistake. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Like, oh, I didn't say, are you kidding? But I'm like, what? Really? Like, are you sure? That, to me, that seems very natural. Like, I'm threatening all this stuff here. You only have a king and a bishop. To me, that, I don't know how that's a mistake. He was quite certain about this. Turned out Queen g4 is the best move, which is what I thought. I'm like, to me, this is so natural. He felt that black had too much counterplay with knight takes c5 here, and that he could give me a lot of problems. But I don't know. I didn't feel that way. I felt this was a lot for him to deal with, and I was right. I also just want to mention a little side story here. His friend, who's another player in the tournament, and it's actually a young player that I played 3 times in the past. His name is Erwin. Erwin's a very young kid. When I first played Erwin, he must have been like 7 years old or 8 years old, and he's improving very, very fast. Anyways, Erwin had, sometimes you walk around during the tournament and look at other people's games, and a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, he walked by our board and was just watching. And anyways, when I was analyzing this in a whole other room, Erwin was there, and sometimes I couldn't remember the right moves of the game. And then Erwin was like, no, you played here. And then here. And he remembered the game and he didn't even play the game. It's amazing. And also just like the visual memory of these kids, like, again, he wasn't playing the game, but we would go through some variation. We'd go like 10 moves deep or something. And then he would rebuild the position and he wasn't even watching the whole time. He was just like doing other things. And then I'd be like, oh, where was this piece? I'm trying to rebuild the position again. And he's like, boom, boom. He can just put it back on the board. That's amazing. And I'm very envious about that. But holy crap, because this wasn't even his game. Okay, anyways, after queen g4, he did play knight takes c5. And, trying to get some counterplay and get things going. Here I played bishop takes f6, which is not the best move. Apparently knight h5 was even stronger, but I was down to 10 minutes at this point, and my opponent had an hour. So I was, and I'm old and slow, so I was starting to get a bit worried here, clockwise. 10 minutes over the board that's not a lot of time, unless you're completely winning. So I was starting to get, I felt very, very good here, but yeah, so I just wanted to make, I wasn't looking for like perfect moves. I didn't want to spend like another 5 minutes on the clock and get into real time trouble. But this is still completely winning. Like completely winning. He plays knight d7, which is not the best way to defend, but at this point I think he's probably trying to keep pressure on me on the clock. I played knight h5, g6, f takes g6, knight takes f6, knight takes f6 check, king g7, and here I went knight h5 check, which is not, the better move was actually g takes f7, which was mate in 2, but I was down to 8 minutes, and again feeling the pressure of the clock. It's for those of you that don't play over the board tournament chess, trust me, in that 8 minutes is not a lot of time, or at least when you're older like me, 8 minutes is not a lot of time over the board. So I went knight h5, which is still obviously completely winning, but not mate in 2. King h6, g takes f7, freeing up the square for g6. Queen takes f7, rook e6 check, queen takes e6, queen takes e6, king takes h5, queen g6 check, and then here he resigned. So I got another win in the premier section. I was feeling really, really happy about that. Because as a reminder, going into this section, the premier section, I was only kind of expecting maybe 1 point, and now I have 2 points after 4 games. I was 50% in the premier section, and I had a win in the first round against an 1800, and then a win in the 4th round against a 1700. And remember, like, I'm 1460 here, so I'm beating players 300, 400 points higher than me. And the 2 games I lost were against 1900s. So I was very, very happy, very, very happy. Yeah, and kudos to my opponent for, because he's a young kid, and he took the loss in stride. I forgot to mention this, but I should have said this at the beginning, but in rounds 1 and 2, in the first 2 rounds, he drew national masters. I should have said that in the beginning. Yeah, so round 1, he drew a national master. Round 2, he drew another national master. So, I mean, he's a strong player, and I'm sure he is going to become a very strong player as he ages. He's somebody that you're going to have to look out for sure. So, yeah, so I was 2 out of 4 going into round 5. yeah, so stay tuned for the final round. This was only a 5-round tournament, as opposed to 6 rounds, which is normally what I play. But yeah, stay tuned for the final round, round 5. That'll be up in 2 or 3 days from now. Thanks for watching.